right, that was the song Black and White by none other than myself. So we're going to continue this discussion here and close it out here in just a few moments. But your comments, questions, I'm watching the comments section. Like, yeah, y'all quiet today. But I love it because this is the kind of conversation that we need to be having, the kind of conversation that we need to be thinking about, and ways in which we can recognize what Daryl Davis has done as maybe something that is not common. It is probably not even something that I would prescribe for anybody except for this man. But he opens up a conversation that I think is an important conversation to have. And so just to recap really quickly here, I want to make sure that we're clear about the fact that I think that, that freedom of speech part was important. If you're racist and you don't like me, I'm not. And I know that there will be some people who would disagree with me on this. That's why we do this show. I want you to disagree with me because I want you to think about what it is you're saying, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to disagree with you, but I'm going to try to help you figure out why it is that we're disagreeing with one another. I don't care if you tell me I don't like black people. I don't care if you tell me I don't like you. Finish saying what it is you got to say, because at some point I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask you the question about why are you saying what you're saying? Is that based in any type of logical, reasonable, or even in the context of the KKK, just to clear that up, they are not biblical in the sense that they are biblical Christians, but they use the Bible as a reference point, like a lot of people do, a lot of cults do, a lot of false groups do. Is that even biblical, what it is that you're saying? And I think that on the side of truth, I truly believe that on the side of truth, the truth will set you free. The truth will make light of things that have been hidden. The truth will reveal mystery, and the truth will just reveal some things that are just blatantly obvious in the context of a conversation. And so I'm willing to just say, let's have the conversation, roll the ball out. Check it up, essentially is what it is that I'm trying to, you can tell I'm into March Madness. Check it up, roll the ball out, and let's see who's who in this conversation. And so I don't want to limit people's freedom of speech. I don't care if KKK people say they don't like me or they don't like Erskin music. They would be lying if they said they didn't like Erskin music. But I just don't. I think that we do ourselves a disservice sometimes when we limit people's freedom of speech, freedom to say what it is that they want to say. And the first thing that we do is just try to criminalize everything that we consider to be hate speech. Why? And ultimately, if we're recalibrating this conversation, if you've been following it any length of time, I got the most comments on the show when I was referring to the trans movement and different things that are there. I don't care about what it is that they have to say. Let them say it, because at the end of the day, I'm going to go back to scripture and I'm going to show you from Romans chapter 1 how the lifestyle is an abomination and how only the corrective help of the gospel transforming people's hearts can cause them to eschew the evil that may be resident within them. I don't care if you're going to try to tell me that you were born this way. All of us are born sinners, and all of us have a proclivity towards sin that is an offense to God and will damn our souls. And so say what it is that you got to say and hurry up and do it so I can say what it is that I got to say. So I'm not offended or afraid of anybody's freedom of speech. I think that we probably do ourselves a disservice, when we don't allow people to speak and say what it is they really think about something, because it's when you find out what people really think about something that you can challenge what it is that they really think about something. So if I don't like you, I'll tell you that I don't like you. And then you can tell me why I'm wrong about that. Anyway, let's get back to this interview. Meetings or BLM meetings, and has infiltrated their meetings and caused their ideologies to change. And there's a lot of militant groups that are out there that are black as well. And so I'm just wondering, has there ever been a situation where the roles have been reversed to the degree where we're able to look at this from the other side and say, ooh, I see how that takes place. Same principles of allowing people to speak, allowing ideologies to be known, allowing presence. And that's one of the things that I think is remarkable about this story. I've got some more sound that's coming up here in just a second, is that, and I might look at some of this from the perspective of Joe Rogan, but how do you even get close to this situation where the power of presence can take place? I mean, do I have to go to a pride parade and be there in presence for us to be able to have a conversation? Or would somebody like to come on my show and let's just sit down and have a conversation? Let's have a pre-conversation. We're not just going to come on the show and just be talking crazy. Let's have a pre-conversation. Let's sit down. Let's talk about what ideologies we want to talk about. I would totally do that. This is my platform. And the only person that I have to ask is the Lord, who's already given me this platform and said, you go and cook. So the only other person that I have to ask is myself before I have somebody come on the show. Ooh, I was thinking of a guest that I could have come on the show. Anyway, let's get to some more sound here. How are you guys doing with today's episode? Has it triggered you? If so, you probably already turned it off. If not, oh, here's a little sound bite. Let's check this out. We'll maybe swing through this one a couple of times and just kind of let it rest in our minds what's being said here. Check this out.
Of a K.K.K wizard and his black buddy.
Now, I thought that was a little bit strange that the headline was a K.K.K grand wizard and his black buddy. Listen, if you're going to do a show on me at some point, if I befriend someone in the K.K.K, if I befriend someone that the world thinks, how can these two people coexist together? And the blood of Jesus redeems us and brings us together. And it's just this wonderful expose story and a wonderful feel-good story played all throughout the holidays, Hallmark, all the different things. So if that ever happens to me, can you please not make the headline, Erskin is the black buddy of so-and-so? I don't know. I don't necessarily need to be called African American. I can be called Black American, but I just don't want to be anybody's black buddy. Is that okay? No black buddies up in this thing. So anyway, I know that this wasn't from like 2000. This looks like it was from the 80s. But nonetheless, here we go.
Believe in what he stands for, and he believes in what I stand for.
I guess with the freedom of speech comment, I could be somebody's black buddy. But anyway, we're going to have to workshop that headline.
A lot of times we don't agree with everything, but at least he respects me to sit down and listen to me. And I'll respect him to sit down and listen to him.
Respect is...
Notice he was saying that, but there were a lot of people who were shouting back at him and saying, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. And so if you don't have the kind of thick skin that can be called an idiot, if you don't have the kind of courage that can be called upon to people to sit back and say, I vehemently disagree. If you're going to be like the Speaker of the House and sit there and roll your eyes the whole entire time. That was funny. I was watching the facial expressions of the State of the Union and like, oh man, what are we talking about here? If that's going to intimidate you, if the first time that somebody disagrees with you and cries boo is going to intimidate you, then this might not be your show. But this probably is your show because you need to grow up. You need to grow up. You need to grow a pair, as Jason would often say. But that's only for one demographic, obviously, because we don't have trans ideology on this show. And so I guess we would be talking to men. Yeah. So if that applies to you, then let that apply to you. Here we go.
the key. Sitting down and talking, not necessarily agreeing, but respecting each other.
And this is in the form of a TED Talk. I need to put that in the show notes. But you can find the TED Talk. This is Daryl Davis who was explaining this in a TED Talk. And he does a fantastic job. That's a very good TED Talk. In fact, I may have my kids watch that one in its entirety. We have it on Apple TV. So if you've never seen it before, it's good. And this is the excerpt from it.
To air their points of view. Because of that respect and my willingness to listen and his willingness to listen to me, he ended up leaving the Klan, and there's his robe right there. I am a musician, not a psychologist or sociologist. If I can do that, anybody in here can do that.
My point, his point, I want anybody and I want everybody to be able to do that. That's why we do these shows. That's why we broadcast these shows out as far and as wide as we possibly can. This show will probably get throttled down. I want everybody to be able to do that, but you do recognize this is not cheap grace. This is not something that will cost you nothing. This perhaps, friend, if you're listening to what it is that I'm saying under the sound of my voice, this perhaps, friend, will cost you everything. This will cost you your reputation. This will cost you your time. This will cost you your energy and your effort. This will cost you perhaps monetarily in some very sacrificial ways. And for people like Daryl Davis who are willing to go into the belly of the whale, who are willing to go into the lion's den, who are willing to go into the heart of the jungle. No, for those who are willing to go into the heart of harm's way, when he's on Joe Rogan, and I'll show you just a little piece of that in just a second. When he's willing to go into situations and circumstances like this and respond the way that he is, hey, there are people with hands on the trigger. What, oh, he coming up in this meeting? No, he ain't coming up in this thing. So when those type of things happen, it may cost you your life. And so I appreciate him being forthright. The presentation is wonderful, but please understand, grace is free, but it ain't cheap. This may cost you significantly, but here's the deal. And the reason why we do the way forward is because I want it to cost you dearly. It has cost me dearly. And the result of that is, if I could use a common parlance that we would know here more as American lore, what don't kill you makes you stronger. And if there's anything that is odious to me, it is that even, and I have to get to this at the end, that even among the family of God, there's a lack of resilience for the arguments and the ideologies of our day. You realize, friend, that as you're watching this today, we've never lived in a safer era in terms of the relative ease, freedom, luxuries, opportunities that we have available to us. Yet why is it that we are so cowardly when it comes to the expression of our faith? Why is it that we are so concerned that the world may not like us? And I'll take a little shot here because that's what we do. Why is it that we feel the need that we have to spend millions of dollars to create ad campaigns so that we can make people feel comfortable with Jesus and make them feel more at ease? Well, obviously there are some things that the world maybe feels a little bit hesitant about in terms of Christianity. We've shot ourselves in the foot in a variety of times, in a variety of ways, but let me be clear about this. This should be the greatest age, the greatest flourishing that we've ever had in Christian thought and Christian ideology in history. This should be that. Why? Because we have more Bibles printed than there's ever been in the history of the world. We have more online resources than there's ever been in the history of the world, and we keep developing apps and resources. We've talked about AI on this show, and you guys know that I'm a proponent of certain forms of AI because it is going to help us with the spread of the gospel, the transmission and translation of Bible text into languages that previously would take years and sometimes lifetimes, can now be done almost instantaneously as we reach the nations with the gospel of Jesus Christ and a variety of things that are helpful in the healthcare industry as well as other areas. And so I'm a proponent of certain forms of AI. We can flourish to the degree that we have never been able to flourish before. But why is it that we are so cowardly and just throw up our hands anytime anybody has any? That's the reason why this show exists, is so that we can create some resilience and just say, grow a pair or grow the hell up or do something in this world that is going to cost you something in this world. Don't just ride into eternity having lived on easy street. Easy street, friends, will get you sent to hell.